And most people aren't well off.
No.
You're living in buildings with like thousands of people.
Yeah. So like there's like a culture of simulation there too. You know.
Yep.
We ready to rock and roll?
Yeah, pretty much. There.
We ready to
Where you going here?
start this podcast?
Let me actually hit this button over here real quick.
One more button.
Slating it. I know. All the buttons.
And 3,
2.
Live.
I just hit the slate, so it's just a big loud tone that hits all the everything.
Noises.
I don't have to do that.
Okay. And record.
Yeah, we're recording.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah,
Hey,
going.
welcome back to Florida's Fittest podcast with
What up,
Mark,
what up?
Mark, and Dan today.
So we've got a few suggestions. Like kind of came up from Dan. I was like, we've been going with Mark E. Mark, but sort of going off of the Iron Man references, it's now like Mark 1, Mark 2,
Mark 2.
Model 1, Model 2.
Model 1, Model 2. It's because I met Mark first.
Yeah.
Well, this Mark.
Yeah.
And the other Mark.
Gotta clarify.
Later, so I had to you got to clarify that.
Yeah.
Because
We can even go more
For the people at home.
More Iron Man to where it'd be like Iron Man, War Machine, and vice versa. Like there's so many combinations.
I guess, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
you
could.
You can change whatever you
Tony
want.
Stark, Rhodey.
You'll always be Mark 1 to me. So
Oh, true.
because
Well, if you really want to get technical, War Machine model was the older version of the.
yeah,
Iron Man.
true, but it's still called Mark. It's
that's
but
true.
I don't know which one it is though.
I think it's the Mark 42 model.
You know what?
I have to look that up.
But that's a little comic book nerd stuff. But yeah, let's
It's fitting.
Yeah, well, it's Florida's Fittest podcast, so we want to talk about like how you got into fitness and your lifestyle and how it implements into your daily life and everything like that. So yeah, let's get it cracking. Like your athletic background, man.
Just
Your
your
athletic
origin
story.
story.
Your origin story.
A lot of times I don't consider myself as an athlete. I would probably consider my like a recreational athlete more like.
Okay.
I got that term from a doctor that was working on me once when I had to go see them for some reason. I can't remember. But anyway, so my background as of right now would be black belt in Jiu-Jitsu. I'm definitely a gym goer, go to the gym frequently, you know that. Try to keep myself up to par as far as that goes. Age, just because of my age as well. So I'm always competing with young bucks like you. You know,
Hey, life's not a competition, but if you want to make it,
but it is for me. It's a competition
Yeah.
in my own head, you
Yeah.
know, because it kind of what motivates me,
Yeah.
and I think it's a very valuable thing.
But I feel like it's good to have like goals like I want to be this age and still keep up with people younger than me.
yes,
So I feel like it's more of goal setting instead of a competition.
yeah,
Because everything is like, I feel like there's an age limit on competition,
yeah,
and then after that, it just becomes goals.
right.
You
Because
want to be able to do this at a certain age.
right. So like, if a perfect example would be like if we did a jiu-jitsu match, because everything is by weight class
Yeah.
and age too. You're not going to be in my you might be in my weight class, but you won't be in my age bracket.
Yeah.
So it goes by that as well. Now you can do just weight class alone, but a lot of times, I don't usually go down age. I try to compete at my level of experience as far as like older men and stuff like that. But
How long have you been doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has been in my life for over 10 years now.
Okay.
So an average person to get their black belt, you're looking at 10 to 15 years approximately.
Nice.
Sometimes longer.
Yeah.
So it just depends. It depends on time on the mat. That and then speaking of just because I'm trying to fall back to history, I started fitness when I was in high school. I played a little baseball. After baseball, I played a little football, stuff like that. So I kind of felt like the need of being physically fit just from that.
Yeah.
And then growing up in New York City, where I grew up at, and just the neighborhood I lived in and stuff like that, kind of like if you had the image, you're looking like you can handle yourself. It was a good thing.
Yeah.
You didn't really
Yeah,
have
well, like, obviously, like, and it ties into your work, too. Like, the more physical fit you look or you are, the less likely you're getting into a confrontation.
Yeah.
So it's like a natural deterrent.
Yeah, because then people size you up. That's basically
exactly.
what happens.
So, well, yeah, I mean,
You
which
get
is not
sized up.
which is not a bad thing, you
No.
know. So They're like, hey, this guy looks like he can kick my ass. I'm not gonna mess with him. Like, that's basically what it comes down to.
Well, of course.
Yeah, you know. So.
Of course. Other than that, I mean, that's pretty much how I landed to it. And then aside of like, I work for the sheriff's office. I'm in the military as well, and I've been doing that for 8 years now, and that's been pretty humbling experience for me. Yeah. And the military is all about fitness.
Yeah.
I don't care what you say. Granted, it is the Air Force, and our fitness standards aren't as strenuous as like the other branches. Yeah. But you still got to keep a minimum at most. You got to pass something. Yeah. You got to do a 1.5 mile run. You got to do push-ups. You got to do sit-ups, and you still gotta do it. It's a part of your life, man.
Yeah, it's there's obviously standards with the sheriff's office, but in like the military, it's almost part of their culture. And like from what I've learned from other military members, like they are the most unhealthy people I've ever met. Some of them at least. Like I mean, I hear like some of the people who have been active duty, Army, or Marines, like they're like, yeah, we smoke Marlboros and then go run, 1.5 miles in under 9 minutes.
Like, under 9 minutes. Yeah, that's true.
I'm like, I don't know how that's possible. And they're like, yeah, we just, we go to chow hall and then we go work out for 3 hours and that's it. Like, that's our life.
Yeah, I know a couple of guys like that, and I'm thinking like, man, genetically, how does that work? Dude, like, you smoke a pack of cigarettes and
I think it's more mental than anything else, though. Like, they put their mind to it. Like, obviously, like, they're coping with stress in a negative way, going towards, smoking or drinking or whatever. But they also have the know-how and the, I guess, knowledge to, like, I have to be physically prepared to fight, so I'm going to get this 1.5 mile done.
Well, if that's what it is, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what I like. That's what I like to believe. I can't speak for them.
I can't speak for them. I'm like, man, that's awesome, I guess, because I mean, having a little nicotine here and there doesn't hurt. I mean, I do it. Here and there,
maybe
I smoke hookah.
It's a nice stimulant.
It's a nice stimulant every so often. I'm not saying it isn't, but I don't abuse it. That's the only thing. Yeah. So.
Maybe like a celebratory cigar every once in a while.
That's true. Makes sense.
Maybe like once every 2 years. I can't remember the last time I had a cigar. So.
Maybe I have smoked my hookah probably once this year so far, but I ran out of shisha.
Shisha?
Yeah.
That's a hell of a commitment to have like a whole setup too.
Yeah, it is.
It's a lot of work. I remember having one in college, and
it's cool.
Very straight. Yeah. Oh yeah. Very social and it was very strenuous to put together. And clean. And set up. Burning coals and getting all the stuff.
I don't see it like that because I have a small one, so I just put it together and it's done.
Oh yeah, we had a big old
monstrosity.
Just five different hoses, and my roommate was really into it, and like he's like, oh, this one has like a cooling line, and I'm like, bro, like how much you spend on this? He's like half my scholarship.
Too much.
I'm like, bro,
way too much.
Half my scholarship money because they can't get pricey. Yeah, you're right.
So, but like we'll tie it back into fitness and everything else. So you already touched on like how important it is to stay physically fit as as an officer and in the military, and how does Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fall into those two categories?
So I'm a firm believer, like, learning martial arts is going to humble a person. I think that's what our, I would say, nation as a law enforcement or like a security or whatever you want to call it, just being American, that we lack, because a lot of people get in these positions and they feel that they don't have to have anything to support their mental capacity or their ability to be humble, and which is very much needed when you look at the different cultures, because I've been surrounded by many cultures, and a lot of other cultures, such as like in the Middle East, they practice and teach jiu-jitsu in their school system. So like elementary school, and then whatever, if they have like middle school, high school, college, and then also in their military. Yeah. But it's because it's humbling. So I think that's a lot what we lack because
Well, you know what though, I can speak for myself. Like it's easy to talk about humility and being humble, but until recently, I didn't really understand what that really meant. And you're right about jiu-jitsu because before Corona, I actually just started like maybe about 2 months prior to it, so it kind of cut me off right there. I've been meaning to do it, but it's because I mean you probably get humbled too, even for your advanced as you are.
yeah, all the time.
Like just because you go toe to toe with someone who's either at you or at your same belt level, or maybe even like you're just rolling with someone who's at a lesser belt.
Right. Or doesn't have as much experience on the mat like that.
Yeah.
Which is, that's why I say it's very humbling, because it doesn't matter what your skill set is.
Or your level.
Right, your skill level is, you still will be humbled. It does not matter. It's inevitable.
It's interesting too, given our like cultures, because like there is a tendency for someone who's like Latin American or Caribbean to have sort of that like cocky step. And like,
say, man.
well, I mean, it's just a given, you know. It's like it's funny. It's like there tends to be like a sort of level of like arrogance when it comes to like any one of our cultures, where like you wanna come off as, like you said, the reason why you got into lifting was because you wanted to look like you could hold your
myself,
own,
right.
and because everyone's sizing you up, because everyone's got that like they're puffing their chest
Yeah,
up and all that
machismo.
stuff.
That macho
Yeah,
is
that
good.
much it's always there, but at the same time, it's like there's such a. I know this is like, for the most part, BS now. My parents just like, don't forget where you came from. Meaning that like we're very humble people. We're like very hardworking. It's like everyone's hardworking and humble. My point being is that like, if I were to talk to myself, the younger version of myself, like being humble basically means that like you're always going to be challenged by life. You're always going to be, at some point or another, life's going to make you its slave. And you just have to acknowledge the fact that as long as you willingly accept that and are willing to put in the work, you'll always get better, and you'll always be able to defeat like whatever life throws at you.
Right.
And we don't. And I get a
Without
sense.
having to brag and boast about it, because
Yeah.
even though I'm accomplished
Yeah.
in my position, let's say people look up to me because they know me personally,
Yeah.
and they tell me it right out a lot of times. It's funny because when I had to go to Airman Leadership School, right, to get promoted to staff sergeant. But while I was there, it was a rough school for me. But I have to.
I never made it that far. I don't know if you know this, but I was in the Air Force.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. I tested into the rank, but then shenanigans.
Yeah, so I know about those shenanigans because it still goes on.
Oh yeah.
But it was definitely difficult, and then a lot of what I thought people viewed me as being in that school, I was totally off. So there's a point where you know the show where you roast people.
Yeah.
So we had a thing similar to that, and they were roasting each other. When I got up there, people had nothing but good things to say about it. They're like, "Oh, we look," and I was wicked surprised. I was so surprised that I started getting into my own feelings, but I didn't show it at that moment. And I was feeling like I was humbled by that, but also I felt like, man, like this is awesome. Like it made me feel so good.
Yeah.
But I felt like crying, crying that because people viewed me that way, which is not often that you hear from people.
How old were you when that happened?
I got promoted probably like 2 years ago.
Okay.
So it's about 2. So it's
Into
probably
E5?
40, 43. So
Yeah.
40, probably 40, 41 roughly.
How long have you been in?
8 years.
Okay.
So I jumped in when I was 35.
Okay. So you started a little
as a
later.
reservist, because in the reserves is different. You can
Yeah.
jump in later.
Yeah.
Active duty, I believe it's 28. 28. They may have raised it just for a little bit, maybe 30, but
For enlistment?
yeah.
From what I understand, it's like the cutoff is 39.
For active duty?
I believe so. I know that because I'm trying to change my discharge status, and if I can go back in, I'll go back in.
Go reserve. That's what I just said. It's the best kept secret for me.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother subject.
Yeah.
And we could go on for that. I can
Yeah.
tell you why it's the best kept secret for me, but this is my opinion about it because I hold a government job, so it kind of.
Oh no! At first I was like,
I double dip. So.
when I was young, and I was like, I was not into it. But as I got older, I realized like, damn, like that was a great opportunity I could have taken advantage of, and just like rode that as a career and be good right now.
Yeah. and you would retire in like your early 30s.
Yeah, yeah. Because I got E5 when I was 21, 22.
Right now, which is, I'm all down for that, but at the same time, because you have the lack of life experience, it kind of it falls into like being humble about stuff. Because when you're younger,
you don't appreciate it as much.
Right, and then now you're in charge of people.
Yeah, yeah.
So sometimes feeling like in
charge,
charge, it gets to your head, and you get it's like being macho and like I'm the man in charge. You have to listen to me.
Oh, I was nervous. I was nervous.
And just being just older and getting into it at a later age, and a lot of people. That's why a lot of people still praise me because of that. I got in at a later age, but I'd be, there's still a lot of younger people who outrate me. But at the same time, they respect me because I'm older. Yeah. Not because I have.
I'm sure they look for you, look towards you for guidance too.
Yeah.
So because they don't know how to like. You say life experience like at 21, you don't know you don't know the shit
I didn't
know.
I did
not. You know now.
Yeah, you don't. So like we had this discussion before. Like I said like, if I could go back in time, like I don't think I would have gone to college right away. Like even though I had a scholarship and everything, like. I feel like I didn't appreciate school and knowledge and like learning things as much as I do now.
Right.
Like obviously I made it through college and did everything, what I was supposed to do, but
right.
I feel like this is the way because other countries do it differently, and they, like you have to go, once you finish your preparatory school or your high school, whatever you want to call it,
right.
you go into the military for like 2 years, mandatory, like when you turn 18, and then you can do whatever you want in life.
Right.
I think that's the way we should do it here,
right?
Because it makes so much sense. Like if you learn discipline, you learn pride for your country, and you learn so many life lessons in the military, then you can apply it to life, and like you already have this resume of hard work in the military because you're gonna work hard regardless, depending on what you do. I don't know,
right?
Yeah,
but give or take.
But a lot of people's gonna view that as being like too like hardcore in a sense, but. It's not.
Maybe it's the cultural thing that
you're growing up in. It is because here it's totally different. We can't. It's hard to compare what we learn here, stateside, or just as Americans, and then apply it and wonder why other countries do it their way. It's just.
Yeah. I definitely feel like the older I've gotten, the more conservative or the more aligned I have been with my parents' values.
Yeah.
And the more that, like, when people start to talk about humility and hard work and, like, the willingness to getting away from that entitled mentality, I think when it comes to, like, the American mindset is that we are entitled to so much freedoms, including, like, freedom to our own emotions and our feelings to be able to express that we lose a sense for doing the hard work.
Right. Putting in the time.
Putting in the time, yeah.
Right. Because, it goes...
It hurts.
Right. But also, too, but it goes around with fitness. Like, you're not going to just look at people on TV...
Yeah.
Doing like watching all these fitness people and just thinking that I'm gonna get fit too. But you don't put the work in.
Yeah. It takes a long time.
It takes a long time and it takes effort. Yeah. And it's very important because a lot of people's vision of what they think fitness for them is that a lot of older people have to struggle with that. Remember we were texting about that. How people struggle as they get older, because they never committed to a lifestyle of fitness. At least, I mean, you don't have to do it 100%, 100 miles an hour. Yeah. But your life kind of requires you to stay fit because you want to stay healthy as long as you can, especially when you have a family. Yeah. So you want to view things like that, and then also too, just you want to have the image when you're working in a job setting like mine, which is always risky for situations where you might get into altercations or might not. It could be verbally or physical. It doesn't matter. If you have the image, most people aren't going to argue the point.
True.
They're going to be like, okay. And then if they know you personally, which a lot of these people do know me, because I basically spend time with them. It's almost like I live with them. And when they do see me out and about in the neighborhood, they're like, hey, how you doing, Mr. Rodriguez? Yeah. And because if someone calls you Mr. Rodriguez,
there's a certain respect.
There's a certain respect. Yeah.
Well, but then that's they know me from that side of life. Not saying that it's bad for them, but they're people and humans too. But they still respect that.
Yeah. And they do it subtly.
Yeah.
It's not like you ever told them to call me Mr. Whatever. I think if you have to go to that length, you're kind of coming from a disadvantage.
Yeah.
But I've had that same experience where I've randomly people will call me Sarge.
Yeah.
I think because they knew my prior experience in the Air Force, but just the way that you carry yourself too, you get that air about you where people are like, okay, this guy expects a certain level of respect, and you can't behave outside of that. But more to like the whole like willingness to do hard work thing. I think it's just that like, in order to get to that point, like you said, when it comes to older people, they never. Well, the thing that messes them up is that most people think that like, I'm gonna live my life to like to the fullest, to like 23, 24. Then I'm gonna get a career, and then my life is gradually gonna slide downwards from like 25 down, and I'm just gonna go into my midlife, like work in this career for 10, 15, 20 years.
Right.
And I'm just gonna get older and more beat up as I go along. And most people's assumptions, outside of us, like most people's thoughts of that is just that's what's gonna happen, and your life is basically over. And then you get married at like 30, 35, 40, and then the rest of it is just waiting for death to come.
But you know why too? Because that's more. There's more people like that, and it's
you
tragic.
See
it, right? So the belief in that, and to feel it's because they see it. You know, if they're surrounded by people or like couples who, and there are plenty of couples out there that are into fitness and they work out together, or even if they don't work out together, they do their own separate things, but they're still at a level that they're comfortable with, and they're able to maintain it. And it's just because we've been doing this for so long, it just looks so easy. Most people like, well, you know, it's easier for you.
Yeah, like I mean,
well,
I've been doing it for a while.
You have to understand, like too, like training age, like there, you know, I'll post a video sometimes, and like they're like, oh, you made that squat look so easy. I'm like,
you have no idea.
You have no idea. Like it didn't feel easy. One, and two, like like you have to understand my training. Like I've been in weight training since I was 13, 14 years old. Like I've been doing it for over 15 years now. Yeah. So like my training age is different. And plus on top of like my athletic background with swimming and everything, like I've been in sports. I tell people all the time, like I basically have been in sports since I could walk. And the way my parents raised me, like, you know, my dad was a strength coach, my mom was an athlete, like that perfect storm of parenting. Like it's
wish I had.
Well,
right?
I told you a little bit. Like my sister told me, he's like, you know, once you became an athlete, like you sealed your fate. Like,
easy.
It's like all the pressure was off of me and your younger brother. Like you sealed your fate being an athlete. Like you were always going to get rode on harder than everybody else. So it's a catch-22 sometimes. But sports taught me so much in life, and it translated over to work and college and everything like that. Like. You didn't have to tell me you need your homework done. You didn't have to tell me an assignment needs to be done. Like, I already was already on top of it. Yeah. Like, I never showed up late to work. I never showed up late to a meeting or anything like that. Like, just the way I was. Like, clock management and time management. Like, it's just, certain things in life. Like, I still remember, my coach's voice in my head and my parents' voice in my head. Like, if I ever have to wake you up for morning practice, the last time you ever swim, he's like, if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. Like, certain things like that, like, they just run on repeat in my head. Like, it's a never-ending thing. And obviously, like, when I have kids and have a family, like, those things are going to be said to my kids. It's going to be, Well, I don't think I'll ever force them to swim. Yeah, I'll crack the whip for sure, but I don't think I'll ever force them to swim. Like, it could be, I'll let them decide their own path.
Right, but it's one of those things too. You as a parent, and I am one. Yeah. It's just like you gotta. When you're younger and you don't know any better, they wouldn't even see you as pushing. Like they would never think that, because you know what? If you're playing t-ball from when you're 5 years old, you know nothing else, because all you see is the fun about it. Like you only see like, oh, this is fun. I'm playing with other boys, all the girls playing t-ball with me. That's all you think about. Yeah. So if you put your kids into that stuff, they would never even notice that even happens until until you get your.
It's just normal.
Yeah. No, it's normal. It's normal practice. So they would never deviate until they get from somebody else who says, "Well, your parents forced you into that," and then they get that idea.
You're right. So, I've been asleep this whole time.
You say that, and then like I've been on the other side as a coach, and I've literally I coached like the age groupers, the Sharks, and I've literally seen parents in the stands with stopwatches at practice.
Well, yeah.
And I have
have those,
I have to explain to them, like, listen, your son or your daughter is 8 years old. they're not getting a scholarship.
Chill out.
No.
It's like, in 10 years' time,
Yeah.
maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a maybe. Like,
Right.
girls more likely than boys. But slow down. Like,
Yeah.
don't diminish their childhood. Like,
No,
let them
yeah.
have fun. Like,
Yeah.
this is fun for them now. Like, when they want to be serious with it,
Yeah.
let them be serious with it. But until then, it's fun.
But that's a perfect even thought of fitness too, because you got to think the level of fitness that we're at right now. We push ourselves, and then for those people who don't choose to push themselves because they might feel that kind of pressure, you know, and thinking that and then next you know they won't do it.
Yeah.
Because occasionally I do that, like, even with my girlfriend, you know, when I tried taking her to the gym with me, and then eventually I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore because I just feel like, and then I don't know if she says she takes me seriously, but then she doesn't really want to do the exercises that I'm showing her because she thinks I'm sometimes too
Overbearing.
Yeah.
right.
Overbearing, yeah.
So and I'm
That's
like,
what I
"Alright."
did.
So it's just one of those things, man, and it's just
You can deadlift that. Come on.
And
Doesn't become
honestly,
funny
you
anymore,
say
yeah.
to people like, I'm not trying to be mean to you.
Yeah.
It's just because I'm so passionate about it.
And because
So-
you know their potential.
Right, you definitely know that potential. But you also you just also that you know that what works. You know what works for you, but what works for you
Yeah.
might not work for them.
Yeah.
The way you're pushing them.
Yeah.
You know, they might get there eventually, but they have to kind of like learn how to get it themselves. Like I'm a big proponent. I like working out with people, but then I mostly don't.
Yeah.
I like to do my own thing.
Yeah. I'm the same way.
But
Like,
it's because I already have it in me, though. I already have that drive to be that.
Yeah, and
So-
it's hard to find that internal drive.
Yeah.
Like when you have your parents driving you forward, or like the expectations of your friends or your team, it's hard to find that. And I had this conversation late last night with Heather actually, and she said, "Oh, you would like this." So I think it was Le Rev, which is like a big circus group,
Okay.
kind of like Cirque du Soleil sort of a deal. They
Yeah.
need to do a 25-meter underwater like swim, so it was like 80 feet. So I think it was right around there. Really, what it was? I don't know.
25 meters is
Yeah,
nothing.
yeah, whatever. What was your event again? It was like
I swam 100 and 200 fly.
fuck.
Yeah.
Cause so she would get like 3/4 of the way through and start going. You know that feeling like, when you
Yeah,
start
I
like
usually get that at like 75
choking.
meters.
Yeah. So 75. She would get it like 3/4 of the
25?
way. Yeah. So she
It's
would.
like 18 meters?
Yeah. So she was like hammering at this thing over like
She
she
needs,
got it for
well,
work.
one, like I could tell you right
She
now.
got it.
Yeah, she needs to
Ultimately.
learn how to relax.
That's what she did.
And like
Yeah.
exhale slowly. And like that's
Yeah.
when I was working with the Navy SEAL that I trained. Obviously, I'm not going to mention his name because he's active. That was one of his biggest things. He's like, how do I do the SEAL test, like the waterproofing test, without panicking? Because I have to kick 50 meters underwater with my arms tied behind my back, my legs tied together. Like, how do I do this? I was like, you have to learn how to relax, exhale slowly, and I taught him how to dolphin kick, which is, I feel like it's an easy move for me because I've been swimming for so long, but it's an advanced movement. Like you
Yeah.
have to learn how to connect your hips. Basically your chest doesn't move, but everything else below the chest moves. Like and it has to move in sequence, and then like a crack of a whip. Like so, it's a very fluid motion. And he got it like he's a very quick learner. He's very athletic, so he got it like pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But he's like, dude, that was probably the only thing that like saved my life on that part of the test, because it was so fluid for me that I got it over with very easily. And the fact that you taught me how to relax in the water and exhale slowly helped me, exponentially. But like from the outside looking in, like just hearing what you had to say about Heather and have her, her situation with that part of the test, she needs to relax, exhale slowly. Like that's
one
the
of the biggest
only-
things.
Yeah, she eventually got it. The thing I wanted to touch on more with that is that, like, I mean, for contextual, like, so the thing that she's been struggling on lately is like step ups, and I can see that look in her face. But I also know that she has the capacity. Like when I was talking about internal motivation, like for her, eventually it was like she doesn't have to do this thing.
Yeah.
Like she literally doesn't have to do this.
Right.
Like she could just pass on this whole event. She could just not attempt this like big opportunity. And I think a lot of people nowadays will do that because they have the luxury of comfort.
Yeah.
But when you push yourself like that, and you're willing, like, you ever get that? You've had this. I've seen you do that, and I wonder if you have the same thing, because I've discovered it too. where you make an attempt at like a clean or a snatch or whatever it is, and you fail. And then you just get in this tunnel vision where you keep hammering it, and the next thing you know, oh, you've told me about this. Yeah. Like an hour will pass, and you're like, I need to get this lift. Yeah. I need to get this lift. Yeah. Like no one's telling you have to, but you're stuck there doing it. So that's the feeling she had. She got off of work, she went to the pool. It was late at night because it's the best time she can go to the YMCA, and there's nobody there. Yeah. And you're not supposed to do this at the pool. The guard like didn't care. Yeah. Because he knew that she was.
Well, shallow water drowning is the thing now, and I know like a lot of colleges are going away from hypertrophic training. Yeah. Because a couple of incidents. Yeah. It was never an issue when I swam, like, but somehow like it just certain things happen, and a kid shallow water drowned. Like one recently in town, he was from I think from Dartmouth. He was on not a recruiting trip, a training trip, and he drowned at the YMCA doing hypertrophic training. Ooh. And like a collegiate swimmer drowning is scary.
Well, yeah, because he's a collegiate swimmer. That's not supposed to happen.
Yeah, it's not supposed to happen. But hypertrophic training, like you're training your lungs at like a very high level, and you're not. Sometimes the body doesn't adapt.
The tie that binds all of these different modalities, whether it's jiu-jitsu, weightlifting, powerlifting, because for me it was like the only reason why I spent 6 to 8 hours at the gym was because I'd spend 2 hours on like a deadlift, trying to max out. Like I think what's missing is not just the humility, but also someone willing to put the pressure on you, or you willing to put the pressure on yourself and say, I'm going to get this deadlift, this snatch, this submission. Right. Because it's so easy for, what's unique about America is that like, oh, you don't have to. Yeah. It's okay. Yeah. Like your feelings are like, you're coddled.
Coddling, that's what I call it, the coddling.
And the older I've gotten, like here's the funny thing. How old were you when you got into fitness?
Teenager.
Yeah.
16, 17.
So I came from the exact opposite. Like I was like, I grew up in like a Filipino Catholic household. Yeah. Where my dad was like, don't speak English in the house because this is a Filipino house and I expect you to maintain those values. And I was like, screw that. I'm gonna get into like, I'm gonna listen to rock. I'm gonna play the guitar. I'm gonna like basically like carry out this whole punk rock lifestyle.
Just rebel.
I'm like the complete opposite. I don't want to say the complete opposite. I think those things remain, but like I've come to accept and embrace that like these things help to grow you, because the willingness to face challenge and being in the heat of all that makes you that much stronger. And it looks like magic for someone to see you, like maybe without your belt, to do the things that you're doing. If you're doing like nogi, and to do like some of the magical things, it's like, how'd you do that? It's like, well, I've only been doing this for 10 years.
Yeah, and then they're like, oh,
dang.
Okay, is this gonna take that long for me? I don't know.
Well, it may not. It may not.
They may not. It depends. It just depends.
And I think that's the beauty too. Is like, because you were mentioning that like there are older people who aren't surrounded by people who are better than them. Right. Being around people like this, it excites me to be at the same table as you, right? Because it tells me that like my learning curve gets shortened, and my experience becomes more enjoyable because you have the passion and the experience to guide me through some of those challenges instead of me having to like bash my head against the wall for 30 years.
Wondering like, how am I doing?
How am I doing this?
And you know what's funny is that because your parents actually, have those same qualities too. You just don't realize it until
because they're parents and you hate them. You don't realize. Shut up, mom. You don't know what you're talking about.
Like you said, like now I start realizing, and some of those things that my parents were telling me are kind of like.
We joke about this now. Like, and I've said this before. Like, the older I get, the more I sound like my father. It's scary. No. Like I joke about it, and like I tell people, like, listen, like if I ever grow a mustache and I start drinking Coors Light, please somebody slap me. Like because I feel like I'm turning into him. Like because we have the same stubbornness, and we're both very bullheaded. And I'm not to the point where like it's his way or no way. Like I'm not to that point yet.
No, yeah, okay.
But like certain things, like I've become a person who doesn't have a filter anymore. Yeah. So like I say things that are on my mind, and like whether people like it or not.
Right.
But I still retain part of myself. Sometimes. It can be very dangerous. It's got my dad kicked out of quite a few gyms, but I'm not at that point yet. but it's starting to develop a little more. So I catch myself sometimes because I'll start thinking it, and I'm like, I want to say it, but then I don't.
Right.
And then just like, you know, certain things like, you know, if I'm with a group of people who are younger than me and like they do something stupid, like I'll go over to them like, hey, why are you doing it this way? Let me show you how to do it this way. And that's like something my dad had always done. And yeah, it's just certain things about it. They translate over.
Shut up, Dad.
But yeah, I'm like, I catch myself. I'm like, damn it, I'm turning into him. And it's not a bad thing, but it's also like I see where he's coming from a lot more now.
And that's rightfully it's what I think everybody has that.
Yeah.
Eventually, you just feel that way. You just see it, and you realize
It
that
just
you're doing it. It just makes sense.
Yeah.
Because you're not, obviously you're not going to know it when you're younger because it's just a lack of life experience. It's definitely life experience. It's very important. Mm-hmm. But you got to dispel, like, it's dispelling the thought of feeling like, for those people when it comes to being fit, that feel like it's so hard. So dispel the notion of being like, just because you may see or know me and I look different than most 43-year-old men that I'm around, you know, especially at the agency, you'd be able to pick me out because you're like, oh, well, then that's Rodriguez. If you don't know me, just from that. Because the people you dispel the notion or the feeling of being like, oh, well, I can't be like him. It's not like you have to be like anybody. It's just little effort. It's for health reasons more than anything, because it's what most of my drive is driven on now. Because I don't compete anymore. I'm not looking to become the next, weightlifter or big Jiu-Jitsu, guy.
You don't want to crush Marcelo Garcia.
Yeah, we ripped on this earlier. Like, there's a different. Like, I feel like competition has an age limit.
Yeah.
And then after that, it becomes goals.
Right.
And like we talked about it. Like, I want to be a certain age and still be able to do this. And I think that's very important for people to understand. Like, as much as people drive life to be a competition, it's really not. It's more goal driven. You want to be able to do certain things at a certain age and be able to enjoy life at a certain age.
Yeah, and I wanted this. I had this thought before when you was talking about your parents, and saying that even when my parents grew up, it was just a whole different era, right?
Yeah.
I find more now because my experiences and my opinion about it would be that I saw less people being more fitness conscious back then than these days. Now there's more people now these days. Yeah. And like it's particular, like just in our city here, Sarasota, I'll see more people running and trying to do things. Yeah. If you go to different areas, like because I drill in Biloxi, if you're not in the military, you don't really see people working out. And also it's because of a culture and just how do I want to put it? Just that area itself. Just
the societal norms. It's just different.
Right. So now they're getting like gyms over there, and people are like, who aren't in the military, are kind of like trying to get into the gyms and keep them and have like healthy lifestyles. Yeah. Because of that. So I kind of find that now more than ever. Like more people are trying to become more fitness conscious in a sense, but they're still struggling just because the older you get, you function. Some of the things that help you function in life are less, you can get like arthritis and stuff like that. But a lot of times, what combats that in a lot of ways is just trying to keep a healthy lifestyle.
Staying active and
eating. You can eat whatever you want at a younger age because it doesn't affect.
Believe me, I know.
Yeah, it doesn't affect you until you get later on, like after your 30s and 40s. You start. Then that's when it's important to eat a certain way, even more, because you start falling into having diabetes. You start falling into having high blood pressure. You might have heart disease or something like that that's starting to set in. Yeah. And you don't even know this. Yeah. And next you know it's too late.
Yeah. Exactly.
And so you want to kind of those things are kind of preventable with health. Yeah. And stuff like that. And it kind of, because of the jiu-jitsu lifestyle, it's kept me motivated in that sense as well, just to make sure that I'm conscious of what I'm eating and how I'm doing.
So you keep going back to, it's obviously changed your mindset on a lot of things.
Oh, yeah.
And
tremendously.
Has it like brought on like a certain like code in your life?
Definitely.
Almost like a Bushido code.
Yeah.
So we talked about, before this, like, you know, before camera started rolling, we talked about, you know, different books we read, and you're reading the book Five Rings and, you know, things like that. So you want to like just riff on that real quick?
Yeah, because I a lot of times I'll tell myself I don't consider myself a martial artist, but I am a martial artist in that sense because I've lived the lifestyle of one. But I think of that because I just think that way in a lot of ways, because you never feel like you should get promoted until you get promoted, and you're like, wow, I guess, you know, I got promoted, and you got to accept the fact. So it's interesting to me because of my career field and my life choices and what I do for work. And you can apply this just with absolutely anything, but it makes more sense to me because the quote that you said was just like, I'd rather be a warrior tending the garden instead of being a gardener at war. Now, it sounds like, oh, you need to be like, you know, a fighter all the time and you got to be prepared for that. No, it really means that, like, I'd rather be prepared, you know, to take care of my life and to live longer, you know, than to try and then not to do it and expecting that my health is not going to catch up with me. Yeah. You know, like, I'm not going to be able to, you know, take care of myself, because then you start getting all these things like I said, the diabetes and all that stuff that actually you can be prevented. But sometimes it's hereditary, you can't avoid it. Yeah. But still, it's controllable.
Yeah, exactly. That was the next point I was going to get to. Yeah. Like, you know, both my grandparents have diabetes, and you're like, I'm very reluctant that I have no signs of it, but I know, like, my uncle now has it, so I know it's in my family. Right. And it's something that's always in the back of my mind, and I know I eat very clean. Right. And I've kind of kept the same kind of diet trends that I've had as an athlete, all, you know, growing up, like, you know, heavy vegetables, lean meats. I avoid dairy, water with every meal, like stuff like that. Like, that gave me a successful athletic career. I still try to carry on now, and I know that, you know, certain things, I know growing up, like, since I saw, like, I knew my grandmother had diabetes, like bad, that I avoided anything with sugar. Right. If you knew me growing up, like, I didn't like candy, I didn't like cake, I didn't like certain things, and, like, it stays with me now as an adult, because it's always in my back. Like, I don't want to be, you know, at a certain age where I have to take, like, a pill or insulin shots. Like, I don't want to do that, you know, and, like, it's a scary thought to have. It
is, and it is scary, and I agree with you. Like, I cannot fathom me having it or any one of my children. My niece has it. Yeah. She has type 1 diabetes since she was 5, but when she was diagnosed, I was devastated. Yeah.
Because it impacts your life.
Yeah, it does, because it's such a serious thing. It's so serious that it's just life-threatening. That's why it's so serious, and you gotta be conscious of what you eat. You have to, in that sense, like, you want to live a long, healthy life as much as possible. Because I want to see my kids grow up. I want to get old. I want to accept the fact that I've lived my life at that point to the point where I know that it's getting closer. Yeah. You know, that I could just, like, I'm good with that. Yeah. I'm okay. Like, if you know, the good old Lord says, hey, Rod, you gotta come today. Yeah. I'm accepting that. You know, I'll be truthful with you. Like, right now, it's kind of I'm a little scared to think that, you know, leaving now will be, like, terrible. You know, everyone goes through those thoughts, I'm pretty sure. But I still want to try to, like, live to 85 or 90, if anything. But, you know, with health, though. But, like, I want to still be able to walk. Yeah. I still want to be able to, like, you know, maybe if I could, like, casually run or jog at that age, you know, if I could. If it's possible.
Yeah, I still want to be able to do things that I enjoy. Like, you know, I feel like, you know, I had a coach say, like, you know, one time he's like, I could literally dump you in a wheelchair when you're 95 years old and you'll still be able to swim butterfly. Like, that's how efficient it is. And I'm like, you know, like, if it ever comes to that, like, that'd be pretty cool. Like, I'd be ecstatic. Like, obviously, like, I'll kick myself. Like, I'm not as fast as I used to be, but like, I'm still be able to do it. So, like, that'd be really cool, you know, for me to be able to do that. But, like, you know, he said that to me when I was like 16. I laughed. I was like, Coach Brown, like, you're crazy. Like, it's never gonna happen. He's like, no, like, that's how efficient it is. Like, but like you said, like, yeah, I want to be able to do things that, you know, at an older age, where I can enjoy it and, like, still really enjoy it. And pass it on to younger generations and stuff like that. And that's why like I started this podcast with Mark, like just to like get other people's stories. And like I was listening to a podcast recently, and basically when you talk to people who are like-minded and who are in the athletic or fitness realm, like you basically get a summary of every book they've ever read and everything they've learned. So like having these talks are really good, and I thank you guys for being here and being part of this journey. So
yeah, it's healthy though too, because it's also it's good to hear people's stories. It's healthy for you just mentally. It kind of what you get from it. You could take it good and bad. So even if it's bad, it's not to say that it's unhealthy, but it just kind of clears your mind to think, oh man, maybe I don't want to do it that way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you just got to figure out, like, it took me a while to figure out where I was coming from. Like, what angle was I taking? I didn't know that originally, and it took me years.
Yeah.
Years of studying, years of putting myself, years of being on the mat, and it made me a better person in many ways because of that. And it has a lot to show. When you put the effort and the time in, you appreciate it more. And you appreciate life. You appreciate, just like anything, you appreciate just being present. And when you're present in front of people or with people who are like-minded or in the community like you, it's just unspoken of. You have to experience it. So, which is important. And I like the fitness journey I chose. And like everybody else, you kind of always want to be better than what you are. And then I know I'm in pretty good shape, and you probably believe yourself, that you're in pretty good shape too. So it's humbling.
Yeah.
It is. It definitely is humbling.
I definitely I appreciate the fitness level I am, but I'm also eager to learn more things. And obviously when this clears up, like I definitely want to branch out and do more stuff. Like I want to definitely want to get back in the water more, because I'm like missing it, and especially with the Olympics supposed to be this year and they're not. Like I love swimming. I love watching people swim very fast, and Team USA has never let me down. So it's one of those things where like you have a lot of national pride, and like I want to go surfing. Like I haven't gone surfing in like.
But it's a level. I think I'm glad you bring that, because surfing is there's a level of fitness to know to do surf.
Yeah, it's different. Like it's more like I can paddle and get up on a board, no problem. It's staying on the board that's the problem. Riding all the way out the shore. Like, and I don't know how to turn the board. Like I'll just go straight. Like I think I can stand up on the board all day, but
it's a level of fitness.
Definitely a level of fitness, and like I definitely want to journey into different things. Like. I recently, I have two friends that are professional wrestlers. Like, I got into the mat with them, and they're like, dude, you picked up things so quickly. It's like, yeah, because I'm eager to learn.
Right.
Like, I'm humbled. I don't know everything.
Right.
And, like, I've been an athlete, so I know how to move.
Right.
I want to venture out into, martial arts, because, like, I've always been, like, I grew up watching Bruce Lee movies and Jackie Chan movies. So, like, I want to learn how to do, certain things. Like, I've experimented with doing, like trick kicks.
Okay.
With like a 360 tornado kick or whatever it's called. Like I've learned how to do that stuff, and
like Taekwondo stuff.
Yeah, Taekwondo. Yeah,
which are cool.
Yeah, which are cool.
They're cool, and they can be effective.
Can be effective
if you're spent
the right timing.
The right timing.
Yeah.
But if you look,
I like that tornado kick's not practical. Like I know I'm never gonna be able to throw that in a fight, but like I want to branch out into different things. Like Jiu-Jitsu is obviously a big thing. Like I have a friend who is also in the military. He's a big Jiu-Jitsu practitioner, and like he's just been dying for me to learn how to do it. So I definitely want to branch out and do those things. Like having you guys here, like definitely I'm gonna have to roll myself and humble myself even more, getting onto a mat with you guys, and learn those things. But I definitely want to branch out and learn more, because there's so much more in fitness. Like. Obviously, you're never going to see me run a marathon, because I hate
one day.
26 miles is pretty far for me.
No,
that's a lot.
Listen, if I have to run 26 miles for survival,
That's different.
I will do it.
That's different.
But you're not going to get me to run 26 miles.
Well, like I say, it requires a level of fitness because then adrenaline pumps in and then you don't realize you ran just 26 miles.
I've never experienced a runner's high in my life.
Never. Hyperventilating at that point.
I don't see myself running 26 miles for fun, ever.
No, I don't neither.
It's like I never like swimming more than 200 yards in swimming. It's like my coaches are like, Mark, you're a good 500 freestyle. Maybe you should focus on this. It's like, no. It is
short distance.
It is literally 12 laps too long.
Yeah.
I stop at 8 laps and that's it.
Yeah.
500, that's 20 laps. It's way too long.
Oh gosh, no.
It's too far. It's like, well, maybe you should try them out. I was like, I'll do it one time just to shut you up, and that's it. They're like, Mark, you swam like an awesome time. You should focus on this. No, I don't. That's 40 laps. It's too far. It's like, Mark, you should do the mile. I was like, are you out of your mind? No. Like, never in my life. It's like,
no, but that's awesome though because you know what you want to do.
Yeah. Like my dad is like, he's like, you should be a distance runner. I was like, I should be. No. Well, guess what? I'm good at what I do now.
Right, yeah. So it's good to hear that too because a lot of people don't think that they have to have a cutoff limit. And I'm not saying cut off to the point where you're not doing enough. Because people just be like, yeah, I walked all day today at work.
Yeah,
I get it. Yeah. I understand.
I put in my steps, man.
Yeah. Right. I did my steps. I said, okay.
How many of those steps were the elevated heart rate?
No, right. So but they're convinced that that's enough for them.
No.
When truthfully it isn't. So they have to be, like you said, your heart rate has to elevate more. You got to put more stress. Your body requires you to be put under more stress than that. Yeah. So if that's just what you got for today, put the extra 30 minutes after work. Maybe hit the treadmill and go a little harder. Yeah. Or the bicycle, whatever it is.
The assault bike.
Yeah. So it just doesn't matter. And if you're a heavier person and you don't like running because it bothers your knees, there are other devices out there that help you with fitness to reduce that impact, that feeling of feeling hurt, that you get from being heavy. Because I could relate to that in a sense because of being older, because you don't feel the same anymore. I might go running with you today, and then I'm gonna feel a lot worse than you.
Yeah. That's the week. I'm done.
So as soon as I get home, what are you talking about? As soon as I get cold, I'm like this. I'm so stiff.
We laugh about this, but I had experience last year or earlier this year where I was listening to a podcast. It was Ryan Fisher's podcast, and he was talking about you like after the age of 28, your health, like not your health, but like your recovery starts to decline. Yeah. And you need to take longer to warm up, and like your performance level starts to decline. Yeah. And I started laughing because I'm like, that's so true. Because like I remember when I was 18 years old, like I didn't have to warm up for anything.
No,
I just hop into everything cold turkey. Like when I was 16 years old, I could do anything cold turkey. I'm laughing during this podcast, and I'm in the middle of my run, and I hear an audible pop, and I tore my quad, like pop, and I'm laying there on the floor laughing. Like I'm in pain, but I'm laughing because it's so true. And I was like, all right, well, I just gotta get up and start limping home. Warm up some more.
Oh, great.
So, but it's so true. Like, I'm 20. I just turned 29 now, so it's like
that's one of the biggest reasons, though. I don't mean to cut you off. I work out outside because I don't care if it's 90 degrees in Florida. Florida's hot because of humidity. Yeah. I'll go out there all day. Yeah. And people are like, how do you work out there? Because
it's also for mental.
Right, but it keeps me. It's because it's the heat.
Yeah. I stay warm.
Yeah, my body stays warm. Muscles are warm. I perform way better. Yeah. You put me in the gym where there's AC going on, and I'm doing the same exercises or movements, I freeze up. I don't push as hard. Yeah, I'm serious because it's like until I start getting warm is when I'll and if I just sit down for like 30 seconds, I'm already feeling the cold. I'm like, oh, I'm getting tensed again. I'm like, I got to get back on this.
I've started noticing that too. Like my breaks have become a lot shorter. If I do breaks, they are active breaks where I'm like walking around, pacing around, trying to stay warm and loose.
Yeah, I have to. That's one of my biggest reasons why I love working out there. Hi everyone, this is D-Rod Wolfpack, BJJ Sarasota. Here with Heather, here to demonstrate the wrist control escape. Basic Jiu-Jitsu, I'm gonna grab her wrist. Go ahead, how would you try to get out of this without, I'm holding on to Dilla. She's not gonna get out. Pull again. Most people are gonna do this action. The object of this is not going to help you, okay? It's very hard for you to escape my grip because I have grip of like 20 men, you know? So she can't escape it, but she actually can. She's gonna show you right now. So I'm gonna grab it. Go ahead and do it real quick. Very easy. Basically what she did, she attacked the side of my thumb. She broke the grip to the side where my thumb is holding her wrist here. Because you have no strength here. There's no strength here for your thumb. We all know this. So the object, go ahead, grab my wrist. The other hand, same hand. So you're just doing this motion. This is all you're doing. Grab it really hard. There's no way. I feel I'm just curling like 20 pounds right here. That's what it feels like. It's not that hard, but if someone does have a stronger grip and you actually are having a hard time, it's very easy. You just drop your base, you grab your hand, create a fist, and you just pull. Very little effort. Again. I'm gonna do you, do the same. I'm gonna grab now. Go ahead, try again, keep going. It doesn't matter. You're gonna fight for it. See, that's the reality of getting into the altercation. She had to do it twice. If it doesn't work, you don't stop fighting until you get that position, until you get out of there, okay? That's basically your self-defense. You have to do whatever it is, but it's all leverage at this point, but you still keep on going. You still have that will. You gotta have that will to get out of that situation. So we're gonna do it one more time. And that was the wrist control escape. I always wanted to put this out, like even though I am older than you guys, I look up to you guys in a lot of ways because I know your fitness level. I know your fitness level because I've followed you and stuff like that. I see you and I know you guys have a relationship. I've watched your videos and stuff like that. It motivates me too, because even though you're younger men, but I still feel like we're in the same. We're still in the same community.
Yeah.
So it kind of motivates me. So I look up to you guys that way as well. Just because I'm older than you guys doesn't mean
I think the only thing age should really do is tell you, like, okay, I obviously can't push myself that hard, but I still have this. I still have the room to push.
Yeah.
I don't think for someone. I mean, you said 46.
43.
43? My bad.
Yeah.
It's like, you're really good for 46. No, but what I'm saying is, like, I think, like, for most people who get to that age, I remember thinking, like, my mom was going into 40, and I just thought, I think they just, as a woman, as an older woman, they just issue you that, like, long dress that older women wear around the house, and that's just it. Like, you just become this fat grandma from that point on.
No, my mother's a vampire. She don't age.
You don't have to be,
Yeah. And I think this, like, motivation has always been the thing that I've been trying to crack forever. But, like, the last 10 minutes of conversation has literally been, like, you want to do this and you want to do this, and, like, Mark wants to swim and he wants to surf, and it's like, how do I get better at surfing? It's like the difference between that and, like, most other people is just like, oh, I have to do my steps today.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, I guess I should do some resistance training, whatever that means. And it's like, it's not about that. Like, if you have to think about it that way, you're really cutting yourself off at the knees because you're already starting off from a bad place. You have to do it.
You're creating barriers in your head too, mentally, because it's a mental drive first. Yeah. It's physical comes.
Yeah.
The mental. That's what I'm saying. Like when we spoke about how we're easy now, we could just go to the gym now because we don't need to have motivation by anyone else.
Yeah.
We don't need anyone pushing us because we push our own selves.
Yeah.
But it's because we build that. At one point, somebody had to show us how to lift.
Yeah.
How to swim. We had to be around people to learn.
Yeah.
So then after that, like, you were definitely a follower at that point. And now you became this leader that you didn't even know that you were. And now you're showing people how to do those
and to be
things.
fair to like people who are just getting into it, like there are times when we're doing something different.
Yeah.
Like Mark just mentioned, running 26 miles, out of the question. But if, like, under certain circumstances, if you really had to, or like in this case, like what I'm trying to do, like I had Heather ask me, like, what is it that you're trying to do? I'm like, well, I want to learn handstands and I want to learn how to climb a rope without using my feet. And I'm like, all these things. But, like, all these things will eventually make you have to
get out of your comfort zone.
Get out of your comfort zone. Yeah. You'll have to feel like a complete newbie. It's going to be super uncomfortable.
Right.
And you just got to do it.
But it is a little intimidating for those who feel the little anxieties from that. It's intimidating because you look at people like us and they're like, I can't be like you guys. Like, it's not like you have to be like us. It has
No,
nothing to
not at
do with
all.
that. And we're not those people.
Yeah. I'm not anybody.
just
Nobody.
Yeah.
I'm just
all
doing
it
it.
is like getting out of your comfort zone and like challenge yourself just a little bit. Like I've done like I told you I started doing like the pure endurance workouts, which if you know me, like I'm a sprinter.
You're not an endurance person.
Yeah, I love everything like fast, short intervals, lots of rest, like heavy weights. Like that's my jam. I did a 45-minute, no phone, no music, run. Just like nothing but me and nature.
Wow.
And
that'd be
yeah.
rough for me.
It was like the only thing I had was my phone in my pocket and just on a timer. And
Okay.
then when 45 minutes was up, it rang.
Okay.
And I looked down on my phone and it tracked like how much I ran because I went to Celery Fields. Like I ran like 6.5 miles, and I was like,
This is awesome.
I was like, but the whole time I'm like the first mile sucked. I fucking hated it. It was it's like I was like, I'm hearing myself breathe. I'm sweating. It's hot. Like I'm running up a hill. Like it's not fun.
No.
But then I started noticing like
Start getting in your head at
like,
that point.
like so I started looking for different things to distract me. I was like, wow, that's a nice like retention pond.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I've never seen that kind of bird. I was like, oh, there's the the big cat habitat. We have a big cat sanctuary or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, oh, there's tigers over there. That's cool. Like, just like stuff like that. Like I started appreciating my surroundings more, and that kind of got me distracted from
Whatever's going on
or
here.
whatever was going on in my head. So,
Yeah.
and like listening to my feet hit the pavement, which I hate that sound anyway.
Like, you know, you're 6 miles later.
Yeah.
Distance.
Yeah, then like 6 miles later, like 6.5 miles later, I was like, I feel pretty good. Like, I was like, I probably could have ran for another 45 minutes, but it's just one of those things. Like you have to kind of get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Exactly that.
And you almost have to, you got to remember sort of what you're doing it for.
Yeah.
Like I want to, I'd like to actually swim.
Yeah.
And I have to kind
we'll
of
get there.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. Like it's like, it made me think, why do I want to do this? And it's like the deeper motivations for me. I think you mentioned something like this too. Is like when I get older, I want to at least be able to like manage a walk, maybe a nice little quick run, like nothing crazy, not like a triathlon or anything. But like for me, it was like I literally wrote down in my journal one day when I was like in my earlier 20s, like I want to be at like 45, 50, whatever it is, where I have grandkids and be able to chase them up a tree and have them like have to chase me, wherever. And the only way to do that is to actually maintain some level of health and fitness. And like most people don't know what that means. Most people are like, what does it mean? Like
it's a changing society though.
Yeah.
It's like I said, back then it wasn't promoted as much.
Well, but
our parents didn't see that.
That's
true. No one saw it that way. Now we're getting away from that.
Yeah. I think beyond that, like rather than looking at it as like what kind of fitness you should reach for, is like what do you want to be able to do when you are 75? And the thing for me is like the thing that like
realistic thought.
Really hammers it into my head is in my other life I'm a nurse, and so I work at these like assisted living facilities, and some people are in hospice, and it's just like, do you really want to be? I see people that like 95 who are living there, but they have taken care of themselves, and they just need a little help in there. But like they walk around every weekend, they go out and do something. Like I want to be at least somewhere there, if not more, because I don't want to. Because then there's other people who are like 65, completely bedridden, and like tubed up, like just stuck in bed, and like I can't imagine what it must be like to be imprisoned in my own mind, stuck in bed like that. That is scary.
No, and that's definitely scary. That's the thought that I have.
That's a thought that's in my head. Like I don't want to be like that.
No, and you don't.
It's not a life.
I'm like, get me out of this bed.
And there's some people that can't, prevent.
Yeah, can't avoid it.
You can't avoid
Truly,
it. Truly, and I most people can though. I'm a strong believer.
Exactly.
You can. Yeah. Most people you can avoid certain things happening to you because regardless,
You remember that show Scared Straight, where they take the kids to like?
Yeah, I know.
I feel like they should take adult like people who are about to be adults into like an old folks home, just to see that. You're like, this is what you could become if you don't like taking care of yourself.
Yeah, I'm like, this is what can happen if you don't take care of yourself.
See Muriel over here? She has a colostomy bag, and she's stuck in bed, and that could be you. Like, oh, I don't want to be that.
Well, I think they need both those tours. They need the jail tour. That's just my belief.
Don't do anything stupid. Take care of yourself.
That's a whole different.
We have a whole different topic. I mean,
jail tour.
Because you still get these kids who are like, they think they know everything, and then They get the
But the adults too.
yeah. Well, adults too.
Yeah.
They get that hard dose of reality, like because I've always lived by a philosophy like this. My dad's always in my head. He's like, you know, the more you run your mouth, the sooner you're gonna get your face beaten, and you're gonna get punched in the face. And it was a lesson that I learned very quickly. I was like, all right, I'm not gonna run my mouth anymore because I got punched in the face. And getting punched in the face is not something that I recommend
nice.
for anybody,
No.
but it's a good life lesson.
No, yeah.
I think
It's like getting
everybody.
tased.
Yeah.
I don't want to get tased.
Taser's only like 5 seconds.
No, I
so
don't
it's not
care.
that-
It's not comfortable. It doesn't feel good.
No.
So
It's only 5 seconds of your life.
no.
Were you certified in that?
Yeah, I got tased.
Yeah.
I kind of want to. My brother got certified in like that and like pepper spray and all sorts of
don't
those.
know.
Like, so he can do it.
You pepper sprayed me, we're fighting.
No,
Like,
I
for real.
don't.
I'm down to do at least a couple of times.
I'm not for that. Like I get it. I get it.
I feel it's like just a once lifetime lesson that you learn.
Yeah.
Just get tased once. And
Did you get the prongs or did you get like the?
No, I get the prongs.
Oh,
I already self-zapped myself one time. During,
it's the finger.
Yeah.
Testing.
Yeah, testing it.
It works.
No, well, we were doing like scenarios and
How long can I hold this?
it only happens once. You're like, oh.
If you do it long enough, you become static
pull real
shock.
fast. Your reflexes are like cat.
Yeah, burnt the ends of my fingertips of smoking and everything. It's awesome.
But you got to make it known too that there's not just one type of, let's say, so to speak, like exercise. I guess exercise is best for it because like it can be absolutely
Not one type of modality.
Yeah, you don't have to be. There's so many different things you can get yourself into to keep yourself healthy. And it's
But beyond just the steps and like going and swimming in the pool for resistance, it's like you got to do a little more than that.
yeah, it's definitely you can do absolutely. There's whatever you feel that you need to do. If it makes you feel comfortable, do that to stay fit.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to be the next 350-pound weightlifter. You don't have to. You don't have to be the next Hoist Gracie. You don't have to be the next
Mountain.
Yeah, mountain.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Mount Everest guy. It's just.
No, I was talking about Hop Toward Bjorkson, the mountain.
Okay.
But either way,
He deadlifted like 1,000-something pounds.
Either way,
all of those demand a certain kind of fitness.
Yeah, and you just find what works for you, and it's important, man. It's important for you to take care of yourself and your health. That's ultimately that's why I'm like here talking with you guys because you guys got a good thing going on, and I don't know if there's anyone else out there putting this kind of stuff out or this type of material and stuff like that, which is good. And then it's like we're not celebrities, we're everyday people.
Everyday people, just like a bunch of normal people, normal folks,
just punching the clock every day, in and out, going through life, and just doing what we do, and it's important. And this is a good platform to share your experiences and maybe your thoughts, or even that. Just if people are interested in commenting and asking questions, it's very easy to get in contact with these guys. So.
Yeah, because now we have multiple platforms. Websites coming together. We're working on that. Pretty soon we'll have like T-shirts and
Do you guys ever like put out your Instagram on here at all? You ever talk about it?
Yeah, we mention our Instagram
mention
every
at the end.
every So at the end of the podcast, we'll ask where we can find you and all that stuff.
Yeah.
We have a Facebook page, Instagram page for the podcast. We have our own Instagram pages. I don't like to get a lot of heat on Facebook because.
But now we have a Facebook for this, so now.
So now you don't have to friend me on
it's
Facebook.
Important. You gotta have it too. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people like anti-Facebook too, but
I just like because I use it just to like communicate with family mostly. My Facebook.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like. I'm not going to get in politics in this podcast because because it's gone out of control, and like I hate talking politics on Facebook. I hate it because it's just.
I don't know if fitness and politics actually would work out though.
Well, they somehow because
can't implement fitness
it
into
happens
politics.
sometimes.
It happens a lot, especially with
today's size of the brain.
Well, two different sides of the brain, but they somehow converge because of today's world topics or world issues now.
Well, the way I've kind of broken it down, like the micro of the way that you treat yourself as a human being reflects in the macro, which is the way you treat the people in the community and the people at large. because it's like if you live in a world where you're surrounded by people who willingly put themselves through challenges and like are strong individuals, you're probably going to see the rest of the community, the rest of the country that way. So when you look out and you see a bunch of entitled people, God, even me saying it like that makes me sound like I'm a jerk.
Right, but still.
But there's a reason why I say it is because ultimately I feel that everyone is capable of so much more that when you fall back on, say, something like the government to like take care of you, it takes the power away from you. Yeah. And there are so many individuals in some of these communities, for example, like it always is interesting to me that I'll like every so often I'll use like Malcolm X as a reference for this idea that like what he was trying to stand up for was like build up your communities.
Right.
Build up your communities to the point where you don't rely on this other part of the community, so that like you can actually keep it to your own. And I think for the most part, like being like Latino communities and like there's always a strong pride in every single one of those, and you want to keep it all within the family, so to speak. So let's do more of that. And it starts with you. It starts with the individual. So if each of us are strong, then we can do that. So that's why we always run into politics when we have these conversations. It always happens.
We try to avoid it as much as possible.
But it happens,
It happens. Because politics dips into sports, and I hate when it happens.
I hate that too.
Yeah.
I definitely
Yeah.
see.
Well,
it's because there's all different types of politics.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's not just government. Because there's politics in Jiu-Jitsu as well.
Yeah.
With the history of
when you're dealing with groups of people, that just happens.
Oh my gosh.
Politics is a huge reason why I don't watch professional sports anymore. Like it's just
It's mind blowing.
It's mind blowing.
Like it totally is mind blowing the way people like think and just destroy like ideas or people's interests or just like
politics literally ruined my love for professional sports.
It's terrible.
It did. Like in less than a decade. I got so bitter and sour with professional sports, I just stopped watching it.
It's usually those people who who have something to say, and it's because they're in those positions
Yeah.
who don't even do it.
Yeah.
No.
I'm like, what are you doing?
You're right.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm like, just get out. Just go.
Yeah.
Go home.
Human behavior is interesting, man, and that's the thing that like I like to study. And the thing about that is like, well, the thing is like we always want to associate, and this goes back to like that personal sovereignty, individual strength thing. Like when you have no faith in yourself, you almost need to look out to a celebrity or a sports personality.
I hate celebrities.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool to draw some level of like, this is their story, this is what they could be inspiring in that respect, but that's a person. Yeah. That's a person just like your neighbor, just like your cousin, just like your uncle, who has their flaws and issues. And you can't look to them, just because they did really well at being like an Oscar-winning director, like an MVP in any given sport. Yeah. Doesn't mean they're like a god.
No,
like chill. Like,
no, relax. Like, see, I was just about to point that out because, like, Chuck Liddell and like Fedor Emelianenko, they're very big in like that
the respect
MMA world, right? The respect. So, but and they're to us they're celebrities in that sense, but if I see them, am I gonna be like starstruck and like, oh my gosh? No, you just.
Oh my God!
You treat them as people.
It's just like I do.
Yeah, like they're people. Yeah. So you can't get into them, in their face all the time. You got to give them their space. It's and there's celebrities out there that you can honestly be like, yeah, cool. I like to be like him, because his fitness level, Dwayne Johnson's fitness level, stuff like that. It's just like, yo. It's interesting to see how he's progressed in life and where he's at in life, and it's just like, wow, okay, cool. He's a little older than I am anyway, so he's a big, perfect example. 46, 45 years old.
Yeah, you just turned 48.
You got the hair.
Low haircut. I have to. Ain't nothing growing anymore.
Yeah, well, hey man, I'm in the same boat. So I started balding when I was 21. Yeah. I just said, screw it, I'm just shaving it all up.
Yeah. Just accept it. It's good accepting, your skill set.
Well, I mean, I always shaved my head for swim meets anyway, so it was just next step. I was like, accept it, man.
Just made it simple.
Yeah. Very, very easy choice. And I had a mohawk, so I was already halfway there.
Oh, no way.
So, yeah, dude, I had a garnet mohawk back in the day.
Chocolate Dell going on.
No, it's just straight garnet mohawk.
Oh, wow.
And it was curly, man. It was very interesting.
interesting.
I was a very, very different time in my life.
So I really got into this vision with Mark because what he was talking about was about a legacy. So that's kind of what he wants for the world, and it's to be able to share his knowledge, if nothing else, to be able to share his knowledge and all that. What, I know it's a big thing, but like in so many words, what do you wish you could kind of impart to the world? I know you have a daughter, so at the very least, let's say like your daughter, because I feel that way. I have a daughter as well, and I feel the same way. Like,
But what I would like for her is to know that to be very independent. From a lady's point of that you don't need anybody. You know, like you don't need a boyfriend, husband, or anything to be successful, to have things in life. I think also too, like we tend to, like, even as men, like we tend to just get comfortable in having, you know, a significant other to build, you know, an empire sometimes, instead of trying to do it on your own, which sometimes it is hard, but it all depends on what you choose.
It's possible.
Right. What you choose, and I get it. You know, I just want her to be just an independent woman, like without needing absolutely anything, not even the government. Like she should not have to rely on them after so many, like once she's become, and she's went to school and she's done college and she's like at this point, I'm hoping that she can choose and pick something that makes her more independent.
Yeah.
You know, without needing anyone's help, that she's able to do it on her own. Because once you start having a family and kids and stuff like that, it's a whole different ballgame. Children and having a family is a whole different ballgame. Your vision of life completely changes, because now you're not just thinking about yourself anymore.
You become more selfless, and
yeah.
everything is.
You have to provide, because a baby is not going to provide for themselves.
Yeah.
You are the parent. Yeah. So now you're looking into things like, okay, now I need like stability. What kind of stability do I need? Now, what did I go to school for? Darn it, I went to school for something that I can't get a job in right now, which is important, you know. So I hope that she chooses something that she knows that she doesn't have to feel like she has to depend on someone or rely on someone else. Now, eventually, you will rely on someone. Not saying that's the worst thing to do, but the sooner she gets out of that and is able to take care of, she can handle it herself. Because then, you know, if things don't work out with her and whoever, she can still maintain. She doesn't need the help. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I'm more into like trying to help her do that, and you know, and I do teach her and try to, you know, remind her about the martial arts and stuff like that. She's into like ballet and stuff, which is another form of art to me. So in a lot of ways, it has its interest, but you know,
it all has its own discipline too. So
yeah,
she's learning. I mean, you can learn so much from art, you know, dance, music, athletics, like martial arts. All those have their own lessons and disciplines, and they all translate into life. I mean, I made friends with a whole bunch of people from the band at Florida State. Like, they used to play. They used to wake. Well, I was already up because I waked up before God and all the angels. But they used to play at 6 o'clock in the morning, right across the street from the dorms. So all the other people who were out partying until 4 o'clock in the morning got a rude awakening at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock in the morning. So I made friends with them. They're like, oh, you guys sound good. Like, they're like, you don't mind? They're like, what are you, crazy? I'm like, no, dude. Like, that's like a natural alarm clock. It's awesome. Like, oh, you're weird, man. But all right, cool. And like, you know, my brother's very talented in music too. Like, he's like, I'm musically retarded. Like, I can't play an instrument to save my life. But that's because I never tried to. Right. My brother can pick up an instrument just by listening to the sound and play it like that. You know, different talents and everything like that. So it's always a good, you know, mix and.
But it's good though. You still, like, fitness has to be, regardless if you're into that stuff or not, you still should stay and maintain a fitness level. Just because, like, it's all health. It's all about health, man. When it comes down to it, it's about health.
The marching chiefs at Florida State, they were physically fit, man. Like they would run stadiums with their instruments up and down the stadiums. You know, the guys with the big drum things banging away, carrying them up and down to the big tubas and all that stuff. Like, they would go all up and down. That's insane. I don't know if have you seen Bill Campbell Stadium?
No.
So it seats 86,000 people. There's like 75 to 80 steps up one way.
Oh no.
And it's steep, man. And like they carry this thing. This is kind of dangerous going up that that steep.
That's steep, yeah. Oh my gosh, no.
But yeah, they do it, man. Like yeah, they hats off to them. And I'm sure like the Ohio State band and the University of the Swamp People band and stuff like that. They all do the same thing. So the University of Swamp People is UF, by the way. Very little disgruntled, but it's an inside joke.
Yeah, it's a whole another topic.
Yeah.
So has your, let's say, fitness journey always been like pretty smooth sailing, or has there been one or two particularly tough challenges along the way, and what would you say is like that one, if there is like a couple of them that like made you kind of question or even wonder if you were on the right path?
I didn't really question if I was on the right path, but it's one of those things for me that when I was starting jiu-jitsu, and it was like 2004, 2005-ish, roughly. It's a little later, because if I've been doing it for 10 years, I'm messing up my own timeline right now. Anyway, probably later on that happened, but my progression on the mat was always questionable. Like, I was always questioning, where was I going with this? Like, what do I want from it? Because I feel like my journey in jiu-jitsu has been my biggest accomplishment ever in life, because of the lack of me graduating high school. I didn't graduate from college. I do have college credits, and I do have my diploma now, but I got my GED. So in a lot of ways, people, the saying is that studying jiu-jitsu is equal to having a master's degree, because of the length and time that you put into it.
You have to, like, with anything, like, you have to study.
Yeah.
Like, it's just one of those things, like,
and it requires a level of fitness that you need. It's very interesting, because most jiu-jitsu people aren't the biggest and strongest people in the world. You don't realize who is this person until you get on the mat with them. Like, oh my gosh, like, I'm surprised. Like, you look like you're crippled. Mm-hmm. Like, honestly, there's guys that I know that are a little older than me and that do jiu-jitsu, and they walk around just because they're older men, and they walk around looking like they're hurting a lot of times. Like, when they're on the mat with you, they're submitting you in like 10 seconds, and you're like, what happened? So I question it a lot, because, like I said, like, you never know that you're ready for a belt. You don't ever think that you're ready for the next level until you're promoted. But that's the interesting thing about it, is because you have somebody else seeing you from the outside in. So my biggest time would be questioning, why am I doing this, would be just on the mat. And then I'll do it now more so, because there's progression still in my belt now that I can achieve. Mm-hmm. Which I still would never feel like I deserve it, but my professor might feel like I deserve it. And I'm okay with that. But it's always been on the mat. Like, I will always question, why am I doing this? I know now, it's been 10 years later, but I see what I've learned from it, just from fitness reasons and stuff like that, and see what it's done for me, spiritually, mentally, and physically. But that's one of my biggest ones right there. That's definitely it. Because weightlifting for me was I never questioned that. Like, I just did it. I never thought, like, why am I doing this today? No, I did it because a lot of, like, just reducing stress and stuff like that, and it's healthy for me. Yeah. But when it came to the martial art world, it was totally different. Because I watched those movies growing up too, but my movies were different than yours. Mm-hmm. And what you see now, mine were like old school Chinese flicks. Mm-hmm. So you respect that culture, you respect that enlightenment that you get from that, and that's pretty much what I respect. Just that traditional way. There's a lot to be said about that discipline. So being a martial artist, to me, it's the best thing that's ever happened to me, aside of, like, having my kids, and stuff like that. So it's definitely my biggest achievement, man.
So is it a matter of having to live up to the standard of this new level? So every single time, not just the belt, but also because everyone is still progressing. Because new things are being discovered every year.
Right.
I mean, every few months maybe even.
But that's the beauty, though, of jiu-jitsu, too, is because it's forever evolving, I should say. There's always new things. Like, it's basically, it's the most basic techniques. But you're learning it from different angles. You're learning it from different styles, and just, that's why it's forever evolving, because you do something, you see somebody doing something, like, oh my gosh, like, you look like he just did like a backspin and a flip and this, that, and the third. Like, I don't remember doing that, but how did he do that? Because I'd like to learn that now, because it's just another angle of it.
And I feel like that's the same with fitness and sports as well. You know, everything's evolving, and I've touched on this, like, you know, the swimming world has gotten a lot faster than I was swimming, and it wasn't too long ago that I was in the pool swimming every day, so something's changed.
Of course.
And then, like,
science.
Science.
It's science, bro.
Yeah, and everything, you know,
Science is
obviously,
changed.
like, strength comes down to, like Ray said a couple of weeks ago when we had our interview, you know, strength is numbers, and, like, there's certain ways to get to those numbers through science. And the same thing can be said, you know, with, you know, different angles, different physics in jiu-jitsu. Like, you know, it's ever evolving, just like sports and fitness. Everything evolves.
Yep, like anything, just like anything. And we've evolved as people.
So given that you've had moments of doubt and challenge, and life is always going to present you with more and more challenges, what would you tell someone, what would you tell your younger self in that moment to kind of give them the encouragement to keep going?
That not to really worry so much, not to stress, because it's automatic. You're going to it's going to happen. You know, like stay with it.
Would you say not to, like, second guess yourself?
Yeah, in a lot of ways, not to second guess yourselves, but you don't know that when you're younger, you know. So
yeah, because I tend to overanalyze and overthink things. I'm a definite overthinker, but, you know, I'm hypercritical of myself, so I could definitely see that.
Well, no, it's cool because we're all our worst critics in a lot of ways. But I didn't have that mentor every day, you know, that parent. I wasn't raised. I didn't have the best. I had the best childhood in a lot of ways, but then I didn't in my household. I was my family is very dysfunctional. So to come from where I grew up to where I am now, and like I would tell myself that, like, it gets better. Like your life will change. Like things is not what you see it as now. It will. Things will change. Things will.
That's an excellent perspective to have.
It's just, man, like, you know, you're making me reminisce about all the times, all the things that I've been through in life as a kid, man. It was rough. Yeah, it was rough. I definitely wasn't spoon fed. That's for sure. Yeah. So, you know.
Well, I feel like, you know, those experiences shape you the way you are now. Like, you know, like I told my podcast, like, early on, like, you know, I didn't have, you know, the greatest of childhoods. Like I had this nasty chip on my shoulder that literally drove my athletic career for the better part of 14 years. You know, like, you know, I joke about, like, you know, I sound more and more like my father. It's my stepfather that I sound like, you know, because he's the one who raised me. Like, my biological father wasn't in my life all my life, and I feel like that nastiness and that, like, because I was angry at the world at a young age. Like, I hated everyone, and that drove me through my athletic career my entire life. And I thank my mom and my stepfather for giving me an avenue to express myself, which was through sports. And they kind of just had this loaded rocket and just set me on a path and let me go wherever I needed to go.
That does, because it brings a thought to my head now. Because without adversity, there's no change in a lot of ways. Because you can't, if you don't feel what you said you were feeling at an early age to where you are now, who knows if you would have changed?
Yeah.
Who knows
exactly,
if that would have created what you're thinking the way you are now?
And like,
Because adversity is important. You gotta have it.
yeah, I think every person has and it defines what they're going to be. And you know, I was listening to an earlier podcast this morning, the Real AF, like they talked about the Last Chance or Last Dance movie, the documentary about Michael Jordan, and you know, one of the things they brought up was Michael Jordan's high school coach cut him from the team. He's like, you think Michael Jordan would have been the athlete he is if that coach didn't cut him from the team? They're like, if he stayed on that team, I don't think he'd be one of the greatest basketball players ever to live, hands down. But you know, since that coach did it, I know for all time he's going to be known as that coach who cut Michael Jordan. Yeah.
He didn't know Michael Jordan was going to be Michael Jordan at that point. No,
exactly. Like, nobody knew.
No.
So you know, they're like, do you think he made the right choice? I was like, at the time, absolutely. Yeah. You know, he wasn't good enough to be on the team. Like, hands down. There you go. So I feel like adversity drives people, athletes, entrepreneurs, like business people,
that's
to where they need to be.
Because it falls into fitness again. So you got it all relates to that. Yeah. So like, to getting started, you know, people feel like they fail at doing curls the right way. And it's the most simplest exercise that for us, you know, like, because you don't need to curl 1,000 pounds with one arm. I'll curl 10 pounds just to get like a warm up. It's whatever you're capable of doing. You start failing at it doesn't mean it's the end of the world.
Just means you're humble and you're ready to go with plan B.
Yeah, it is what it is. You got to just accept it and just move on.
Roll with the punches.
You definitely have to.
So to answer your question, you know, that's a great way of doing that. Like, just tell your old self that things are going to get better. And whatever happens, happened for a reason. There's no way. Don't go back. It's not going to change. You can't regret what happened to you. I never regret what happened to me. So never. I applaud that what I went through made me who I am now and pushed me to the point that I am at. In a lot of ways.
So I had a friend once tell me that he found it interesting that no matter how challenging things seemed to get for me, and I was always very public about it, I would find a way to keep going. In your case, did you feel that the willingness to just keep going in spite of your own doubts, was that maybe one of the things that helped you to keep progressing and to be where you're at now?
Yeah. The willingness of just wanting, it's not settling. You know, settling for whatever I was given. I'm a poor planner, but I'll try to plan. A lot of times it doesn't work out. And it's not the end of the world, but the thing is just that you still got to go, you still got to be, you know, you got to push. You still got to push for something to work out.
Mike Tyson said it perfectly. It's like everyone's got a game plan if they get punched in the face. So you still got to
you gotta stop.
You don't stop. You just keep going.
Yeah. So it's just my willingness was probably one of my biggest like things like that helped me because I wasn't settling. I wasn't settling for what I thought that I was given. So that's basically, I think that's mostly what drives me now is my willingness to just continue. Like my fitness level now is, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I could do better.
Yeah.
You know? But people would see me like, man, you know, you walked up to you like, I didn't think you were that big. I'm like, I'm not that big in my head. You know, and I'm like, no. And then it's just one of those things. Yeah, definitely the willingness. You got to have it, man. It's strong.
I think definitely that ties into, we mentioned this earlier, it always ties back to fitness and then it always ties back to politics because when you know that you can always fall back on a system that will tell you, hey, I know you didn't make it, but you're all right. You don't have to try any harder. I think that kind of diminishes your willingness to put in any more work because then you can tell yourself, well, you know what? I tried.
Yeah.
What if Michael Jordan grew up in that environment where somebody was like, it's okay, Michael. You did what you could. You made a strong effort, and maybe this is the end for you. Like, you just go to school and you get a degree because that's what's expected of you as a young black man in this community, is to get at least a college degree. And then you can do whatever you want to do for the rest of your life. Like, what if he just stopped there?
I don't, like, for me, I don't think that was part of Michael Jordan's personality.
I don't think so either. I think there was just that, like, there's always
For
more. Like
anybody,
you said,
yeah.
there's always more that I could be do, that I could do.
Just like I always feel like, I've said this, but there's like three types of people, like, you know, there's sheepdogs, and wolves. Like, there are certain people, like, they're not satisfied with what they have, and they keep going after it. And, like, you can use it for deviant reasons, or you can use it for, you know, affluent reasons. Like, it's, or altruistic reasons. Like, there's always more to be done.
Yeah.
And, you know, again, like, you know, having this platform and sharing our stories, I think it's going to help other people form their, you know.
I hope so, because that's basically like, you know, with anyone who I talk to, especially in the jiu-jitsu community, and who are like just starting, and it's just like I know some part of me inspires them because they're looking at me like, man, you know, Rod, like, damn, I'm gonna be like that, and it makes me feel good that they feel that way. That's what makes me feel good, not because I've already been and you know, and done it. It just makes me feel good that they looking at me. I can be that role model for them. Yeah. Or I could be that vision or that will.
I love motivating people to do something that they never thought they could do. Like, that's in and out of that self, like, that's like a huge confidence boost for myself. But like, to see them grow in confidence and be able to achieve something like that, that's like the ultimate, like, gift that I could never give. So.
Yeah, you're right. And it ultimately doesn't matter what somebody necessarily achieves in their own particular life. For me, what I've come to really appreciate is that you may not be able to, because I've seen this in myself, if you cannot squat this weight today, the fact that I saw you pour every ounce of your spirit into this today is enough for me. And as so long as you're willing to do it, and you keep trying, keep that spirit. And I think maybe there's sadly a lack of it. Maybe it's just I live in this weird little fitness bubble where people are super into it, where they keep trying because there's a girl who wants to swim 25 meters and keeps choking out at like 3/4 of the way and keeps doing it anyways in spite of herself. And then ultimately gives in and says, you know what? If I pass out, because I know you did, and you had someone tell you, like, don't do that again. She was like, if I pass out, there's a lifeguard there.
Well, I passed out because I didn't want to do practice. Yeah. And I didn't want my teammates to suffer through practice. Yeah. And I had a coach tell me I couldn't do it. So.
Or like, I know it's probably not the smartest thing to spend 2 hours attempting a max deadlift.
Why not?
It's probably not healthy for my back, but I do it anyways. Right. And I wonder if there's been times where I wonder if there have been times where you were like, show me that submission again. How the hell did you do that? Yeah. And then you hammer it again and again and again, and the other person's probably like, I gotta go. I was like, just one more time. Yeah. Just show me one more time, because you just need to know it. And I would wish that people find that more in themselves. And by sharing this table and sharing this platform with people who have different stories and different challenges, people can see, like, this guy has a certain background somewhat similar to mine. Or this girl has a similar background similar to mine. I can do this very same thing. And I can dismiss all of my possible excuses because they've done it, so I can probably do it.
It's true.
Yeah.
I hope that's what happens, because, like I said, when I just from meeting Mark 1 here, I already knew something about him that he didn't know that I knew about him. So I knew his fitness level. So, and then we got the way I got to talk to Mark is because of, you know, our work, and we got to talking about that. But I always, when I talk to you, I never wanted you to feel like you lost something. You've always had it. Yeah. You know, so that's why I always tell you have talent, and I know you have talent. You know what I'm saying? You have something in you that they don't have anymore, that they lost out on.
Yeah.
So that's why we say that. And then now that you're having this, and then like meeting everybody else, like I wanna encourage you more to be that person, and not let those things bother you.
Yeah, because I was you were talking. You were talking to me like when I was like at a very
Dark.
dark low point in my life, and I was very I had a lot of self-doubt and questioning a lot of things going on, and you know, you're one of those people who like kind of kept pushing me to, you know, like this time's gonna pass, like you're gonna get through this, like, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel, and like you were one of the few people who were still in like my work community who kept pushing me, because like after what happened, like I lost touch with nearly everyone
Everybody,
except
of
for
course. I tell you the truth, because if I retire,
yeah.
ain't nobody gonna hear from me anymore.
Yeah.
At
Well,
all.
other than you and like a supervisor, like you were
Unless
the
you're
only
really close to me, yeah.
we're the only two people who
No
really
way.
talk to me. So it's you really learn who your friends are.
Well, that's,
But it also helped me, like, you know what, like, you know, he's right, like there's always a light at the end of the tunnel, and you know, things you know get dark before the light comes. I think it's a Batman quote. But yeah, it all comes around eventually. So
Yeah.
I want to thank you for all of that. I think that's a good
way to wrap it up. You got
Yeah.
any? What are some parting words, and where can people find you?
well, I'm listen. I got every not every social media thing, because I mostly just do Facebook and Instagram.
Not on TikTok.
No,
Dancing?
TikTok. I mean, I've tried. My girl, we tried to do the whole.
Well,
Yeah.
I forget how it goes.
Renegade?
Yeah.
I don't know that.
But I've tried, but no, I'm not hip enough to.
It's definitely confusing, that platform.
Nah, I mean, I think I could do it, but I do it for
Time
messing
consuming,
around and
yeah.
just being foolish and funny, because I'm like that. I'm a comedian a lot of the times, but just my Instagram is like it's under like be humble, live life, be strong type. That's interesting. People always ask me, why you have that? Why is that? I'm like, what do you mean? Why? Why can I not have it? I mean, it's actually how I
feel
try to
no,
live.
because it's a good mantra, and it's a good reminder of what people should be.
Yeah, so I hope that when people see it, they're like, oh,
yeah.
and then they
well,
see
and
me.
it's yours. It's like, yeah, if you want it to be like that, then that's
But,
your prerogative. Like,
on my Facebook, I kind of keep it private because of the military
Thank
thing, you know.
see, I'm not the only one.
I don't really have my real name on there
Yeah.
on Facebook, so if you see it, it's not my real name.
I'm the same way.
For many reasons, because, you know, for the military, and they tell you not to have certain things. And even on my Instagram, it'll probably have a fake name on it, but my name is Daniel, but I put Dan on it. So
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, it's not fake. So people call me
Throw 'em
Dan.
off the scent.
Yeah, it just throws you off
Yeah.
a little bit unless you personally know me. But I rather you personally know me, then I'll tell you the truth as far as who I am, like my name wise. But
It protects you and protects your family. So
yeah.
it's-
So and then I do have another page that I manage. It's D-Rod 1973 Wolfpack BJJ Sarasota. Because I'm always just trying to promote the jiu-jitsu, you know, lifestyle, and then I try to help my instructor and stuff like that, because I've done a lot with my jiu-jitsu. I've been around. I've seen a lot of like professionals, jiu-jitsu artists and practitioners in my career. You know, I've done things with Master Hoist and his nephews, you know, with the California and stuff like that. So I want to share those experiences with people. So that's
Absolutely.
you can contact me through that as well. So it doesn't matter how you do it, but or with these you guys here, but it doesn't matter.
Is that Wolfpack on Bee Ridge?
Yeah,
Gotcha. Seth used to go
yeah.
Yeah.
there.
Seth,
Good
I know
league?
Seth.
Yeah.
I know Seth. I haven't seen him in a while, but yeah, I know Seth.
Yeah.
But,
He's been on quarantine.
but yeah, Seth, he should know me.
Yeah. But
But yeah.
Can we find you?
well, you can find me as the person in front of the camera. It's my primal being. But we've also, I'm going to push for Florida's Fittest. We've got a website in the works. just bought the URL for Florida's Fittest and Florida's Fittest podcast. You should be able to find those both. We'll get that all set up. We're trying to get things set up so that we've got a Patreon. And so if you can let us know what you'd be interested in seeing. I've got some behind-the-scenes stuff shooting right now. Exactly. But some behind-the-scenes stuff going, and then maybe we can do some personal questions for the guests. So we'll try to get it out there. So who the guest happens to be, what their credentials are, and if you have some particular questions, those could be the bonuses for people on Patreon. We want to make it so that it's more value to you for whatever you decide to donate to us, because this is a labor of love, and we want to make sure that it's something that we can sustain, because we also have the rest of our lives to tend to. I have a kid. Mark has a very aggressive swimming career that he needs to tend to. That demands a lot of time and money. Bullets also aren't cheap. So when he goes to the range with his brother, that gets expensive. Yeah. I might join him, so that gets expensive. So we'll be putting out some shirts. And ultimately what we'd like to do is to take this platform and do more educational things and do more seminar type things. And this is ultimately the jumping off point, so that if at some point people like Dan, for example, can present something with just a simple self-defense course, we can do that and host it. That's kind of what we're trying to do here, is go beyond just this sharing of legacy and actually get you involved in the process as well. Exactly, so if that means, if it incentivizes the Patreon by providing you with coupon codes and discounts, what have you, that's going to be what we'll try to do. So I'll probably put out some sort of a survey and let people know what, or give people an opportunity to give us their feedback. But besides that, if you want to find the person behind the lens, my other self would be Echelon Media, and that you can find that basically everywhere. But for the most part, for the show, it's going to be Florida's Fittest or Florida's Fittest Podcast.
Florida's Fittest Podcast is the Instagram. So you can follow that. Once this is all edited, we'll send it all out. We'll have like previews for it and get the name out. But this will probably premiere
next week.
Yeah, so next week. So next Monday.
Let's say loosely next week.
next week.
Well, Filipino time's the same as Puerto Rican time.
That and like work schedules.
We're all the same.
Island time kind of.
Basically island time.
Yeah.
If you guys want to find me, you can find me on Instagram at MCOX91. Like I said again, you can find this podcast at Florida's Fittest Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast Breaker, and any podcast streaming app. We have some awesome athletes that share their stories, just good conversations that we've had, between ourselves and other people. We've talked about world topics, life topics, sports topics, and everything else. So, and thank you guys for watching. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. That's pretty awesome.
We need to get you back to sleep.
Yeah.
And thank you guys for watching.
Peace out.